Following Steward Lu, the group arrived at a quiet private residence. The scenery and arrangement here were clearly much better than the front courtyard. The walls were roofed with glossy green tiles, glistening brilliantly under the sunlight. Outside the courtyard gate stood two guards with fierce, tiger-like faces, holding iron staffs, looking no different from two-door gods. Steward Lu stopped in front of the gate, turned back, and instructed, "Please wait a moment. I'll go inside to announce your arrival." With that, he hurried inside. From where Jung-Chu stood, one could see a small pavilion within the courtyard. Inside the upstairs reception room was an altar table, upon which sat an incense burner, offerings, spirit money, everything complete. Wisps of incense smoke drifted faintly upward. In front of the prayer cushion knelt an old man dressed in white, seemingly chanting scriptures. Looking closer, it was not ordinary white clothing, but mourning attire. Jung-Chu thought to himself in surprise, "Strange. The deceased is the second young master of the Fong family. Normally, only children mourn for their elders. Why is a father mourning for his son?" Kwang Hong Nia's expression turned grim as he realized something unusual. "This isn't ordinary mourning. It's deep mourning," he explained. "Look carefully. He wears a white cloth hat, with a 3-chi-long white sash pinned on the right, a white mourning robe reaching the knees, collarless, with wide sleeves tied with cords instead of buttons, a tightly fastened belt, and white cloth shoes with hemp soles. This is at least the 3-year mourning attire." Din Din was astonished. A father in mourning for his son. Doesn't that go against the rites? Jung-Chu said, "The old records do mention fathers mourning for sons, but only for the eldest. Here, he's clearly mourning the second son. This is strange indeed." Su Dailuk looked Jung-Chu up and down. "What do you mean?" Jung-Chu replied, "Think about it. If he truly were in mourning for the second young master, wearing such deep mourning, why are the servants in the household so casual, dressed as usual? Does that make sense?" Those words startled everyone into recalling that since they had entered, they'd met many servants, but none wore mourning attire. All were dressed normally. Hua Tusi spoke slowly, his voice low. "This isn't mourning. It's a plea for blessing, asking the dead to forgive him. He's worshipping that opera singer from last night." At that, Ti Quan-min's face changed instantly. Clearly, the singing from the previous night had left him deeply unsettled as well. Steward Lu spoke with the kneeling old man for a while, then stood up, walked to the reception room door, and beckoned to the group. The guards allowed them in. By now, the old man had risen and taken a seat in the Grand Master's chair in the main hall. The old man's face was kindly, his features noble and wealthy-looking. Yet in his eyes lingered a resentment that could not dissipate. Jung-Chu guessed that this was none other than the master of the Fong family, the famously benevolent patriarch of the town. After a few words of greeting, old Master Fong sighed lightly and went straight to the point. "I invited you all here. You must already know the reason. I won't waste words. You've surely seen last night just how dangerous that thing is," he continued. "You are all renowned travelers of the martial world. I must rely on you for this matter. Rest assured, once it's done, I will reward you handsomely." Kwang Hong Nia clasped his fists. "Old Master, don't worry. We make our living from such work. For you to seek us out is to honor us. Please tell us the whole story so we can prepare." Old Master Fong nodded and motioned with his eyes for the two maids to withdraw. Now, only Jung-Chu, his companions, Old Master Fong, and Steward Lu remained in the room. He began, "This story is a long one. I must start from 10 years ago. My father had just passed away. In life, he greatly loved opera, so the family thought to invite a troupe to the residence that night to perform for him, so that he might depart in peace. But who would have thought such a thing would happen?" Here, his emotion surged. His thin hand gripped the armrest tightly, veins standing out. Halfway through the performance, one of the actresses in the troupe accidentally fell into the pond. The household rushed to save her, but it was too late. She drowned. Kwang Hong Nia, recalling the scene from last night, guessed the stage's location but still asked, "Where was the performance held that day?" Old Master Fong shook his head, pained. "Right on the pond in the back garden." Jung-Chu frowned. "Performing on water? Water belongs to Yin. Inviting an opera there, was it meant for the dead to hear?" At the word ghost, Steward Lu's face darkened, and he was about to speak when Old Master Fong stopped him. "Yes, we invited them to perform for my father. Of course it was for his spirit. We knew the troop had many taboos, but we paid them generously and offered proper sacrifices. Those in this line of work do accept such performances, though they don't speak of it openly. He spoke sincerely. Indeed, few troops dare to perform for the dead, but they do exist. Traveling far and wide, they inevitably encounter strange events. Without some resilience, they would have disbanded long ago. Hua Tusi asked, "Which troop did you invite?" "The Swan Hai troop at the southern town's Engen Kok Inn." The manager's surname was Bach, so people called it the Bach family troop. At that time, they were very famous in this region. The woman who drowned was their lead actress, named Hai Vai, also the manager's daughter. Old Master Fong went on. "Her death had nothing to do with my family. We paid silver, the troop accepted. All agreements were proper. Who knew? Who knew she would cling to my family? This past year, misfortunes have struck again and again. People have died. Isn't this trying to wipe out the Fong line?" Now everyone finally understood who the female ghost was. No wonder she was still singing last night. She had been an opera singer in life. The faint, sorrowful singing suggested that the matter was far from as simple as old Master Fong claimed. They could not rely on just his side of the story. Jung Chu clasped his hands. "Old Master, please take care of your health. By the way, might we find the Bach family troop now? We'd like to ask them a few things." Old Master Fong clutched his chest and slowly shook his head. The group was puzzled. Finally, Steward Lu, face pale, spoke in a chilling tone that made everyone's hair stand on end. "I'm afraid you won't find them." "Why?" "After that woman died, the entire troop perished. The Bach family troop is no more." Everyone was startled. What happened? The boat carrying the opera troupe capsized while crossing the river. Everyone was on board, right at Lao Nyo Bay Ferry, 10 miles from here. When did it happen? Right after that woman drowned. The leading actress of the troupe, also the troupe owner's daughter, had drowned just the day before. The very next day, other members of the troupe drowned as well. Anyone with half a brain could tell something was amiss. But even if they noticed, no one dared speak openly in such a situation. For someone like Master Fong to have acquired such a large estate during chaotic times, he was unlikely to be a harmless man. Master Fong's health seemed poor. After exchanging a few more words, he began to look fatigued. Seeing this, Steward Lu called for the servants to help Master Fong into an inner room to rest. "Ladies and gentlemen, the master has been overly worried because of the second young master's matter. If you have any questions, you'd best ask me instead." Steward Lu sighed softly. "To be honest, my master's health is worsening day by day, all because of this issue. He hasn't had a peaceful night's sleep in ages." Duong Chu only responded with a quiet, "Ah, please follow me, and you'll see for yourselves." Mentioning the master, Steward Lu's expression grew heavy, though he revealed a rare touch of sincerity. He led everyone to another section of the reception hall that, from the outside, resembled a bedroom. Mounted on the doorframe was a bagua-shaped mirror. The surface was a bronze hue, covered with a thin layer of dust, yet its antique, symmetrical design made it clear this was a rare collectible. Upon pushing the door open, it was indeed a bedroom. A carved wooden bed was angled toward the doorway, its curtains drawn, with the faint outline of a figure lying within. Only after Steward Lu nodded in permission did the others dare approach and slowly lift the curtain. The sight before them made everyone's blood run cold. Lying on the bed was a paper effigy. The paper figure was covered with a thick embroidered quilt, its head resting on a wooden pillow, and all the items on the bed were identical to those used by the living. Most unnerving of all, the paper figure had been crafted to look exactly like Master Fong. And making a paper effigy for someone still alive was among the most taboo acts imaginable. Feigning death. Duong Chu studied the effigy's face, noticing certain signs. Hearing this, Steward Lu turned, nodded, and said, "You're correct. That woman was too fierce. We sought countless Taoist priests and shamans, but none could help. In the end, we had no choice but to resort to this desperate measure." Su Deli stared at Steward Lu, hesitating. "But don't you know that using this method will harm the living person's fate?" Steward Lu clasped his hands together, his face grave. "Ladies and gentlemen, having taken the Fong family's silver, I ask that you give your utmost to rid us of that woman as soon as possible. If successful, the Fong family will reward you generously. For you, it would also be an act of merit." Such words had been heard too often to stir thoughts of virtue. Everyone was only concerned with staying alive. Steward Lu, How long can this paper substitute last? Kwang Hong Nia cut straight to the point. Steward Lu raised 3 fingers. 3 days at most. The arrangement of the bedroom was strange. To the left of the bed hung a scented pouch embroidered with a demon's face. To the right hung an old pair of scissors with broken blades. Beneath the bed sat a pair of red brocade shoes, the toes hacked off with something sharp, their missing tips nowhere to be found. Stepping back, they saw that the square table in the center of the room held an odd formation of copper coins arranged with incense and candles. Some kind of exorcism array. From the ceiling beam hung a silver cord, at the end of which dangled a bell. The bell's exterior was coated with greenish rust and, unusually, was square in shape. Since they had entered the room, the bell had swayed faintly but made no sound. Gazing at the bell, Duong Tu unconsciously held his breath. He had once seen something similar in an old book from a second-hand bookstore. This was called a soul fetus bell, extremely rare. Normally, a silver cord would be tied to hang it at a coffin's corner. Legend had it that tomb robbers avoided coffins with such bells, for only those who had died with intense resentment or in sudden, mutilating circumstances were buried with one. It was said that the bell's interior contained the bound soul of an unborn child, sealed with corpse wax. Normally silent, the bell would only ring when it sensed the killing aura of a vengeful spirit, at which point the mournful cries of an infant could be heard from within. After lingering a while longer, the group left. Stepping into the broad courtyard, feeling the sunlight warm their skin, everyone felt as if they had just returned to life. The false bedroom was steeped in a chilling gloom, like another world entirely. After a few final instructions, Steward Lu allowed them to move freely within the manor. They could leave if they wished, but they must return before sunset. Moreover, when leaving the estate, they had to be accompanied by a servant. Steward Lu explained that armed chaos and an influx of refugees outside made safety a concern. Having said this, Steward Lu departed. The group exchanged glances, then quickly left the courtyard in search of a quieter place. With no outsiders around, certain words could finally be spoken. What do you think? Kwang Hong Nia, having confirmed no one was eavesdropping, was the first to speak. Kalong sneered. What's unclear here? The troupe came to perform in peace. Then the most beautiful actress drowned. And then the rest of the troupe all die. That's giving you a death without evidence. Nothing to investigate even if you wanted to. Here's my guess. Master Fong took a liking to Shilak, the star of the Bai family troupe, and lured her here under the pretense of an opera performance. But Shilak was strong-willed, and would rather die than submit. Master Fong either killed her in anger, or she leapt into the lake to escape humiliation. At that time, the rest of the troupe was still in the manor. Fearing the matter would leak and tarnish his name, Master Fong simply, Hua Tuc drew a finger across his throat, and told outsiders it was a boat accident. This was a fairly common theory, but Su Dili shook his head. I don't think so. Don't forget, today is the first 7-day memorial of the Fong matriarch. The ancients valued propriety, and the Fong family here is among the wealthy. It's unlikely they would cause a scandal during such an important occasion. Not necessarily. There are plenty of beasts in human form. Get drunk and stir up trouble, you know what I mean? Only rich men play games like this. Kalong curled his lip. Duong Tu sensed his deep loathing for the rich, likely born from personal experience. He had mentioned before that his father once ran a workshop. After a pause, Kwang Hong Nia spoke again. I agree with Su. This is, after all, the first 7-day memorial for the Fong matriarch. Moreover, if Master Fong only wanted to take Shilak, he wouldn't need to invite the entire troupe here. That would only bring unnecessary trouble.